Turn with me to Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13. Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13. Text says, "Now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, 'Choose us some men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand.' So Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up the top of the hill. And so it was, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy." So somebody say, "My hands a little heavy in this season. I got a lot I'm dealing with." So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. There are multiple points throughout this passage of scripture that leads me to my ultimate thought. Joshua fought a battle Moses told him to fight. And as long as Moses could hold his hands up, Joshua was winning. But as soon as his hands fell, Joshua started losing. For a few short moments, I want to speak from the subject of, what's the holdup? What's the holdup? Father, we thank you in this season for this word. We thank you for this opportunity. I hope, Lord, that it's communicated the way you want it to be communicated. I hope that people receive it the way you want it to be received. Now, Father, empower me and you increase in me and decrease my flesh. In Jesus' name, amen. Look at somebody and say, what's the hold up? Last week we started a series called Terrific Tandems, in which the basis of the series surrounds how this year is a year of partnerships that are formed for the purpose of your stability. We talked about how God's preferred mechanism for our stability can be found in who we're partnered with. How God will not leave you without a witness. Someone who's going to be able to corroborate where you've been, what you've seen, and how it can become a staple not only in your life, but in the lives of those you partner with. And when you think about partnerships that provide stability, we need not look further than what happened between Israel and Amalek at the Battle of Rephidim. Somebody say Rephidim. This battle, this melee at Rephidim epitomizes what stability through partnerships truly looks like. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Y'all might get tired of me saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it. You won't know what you have until you're faced with a battle. A battle will reveal to you who's with you. A battle will reveal to you who will show up for you. A battle will reveal to you, oh my God, who's holding you up. A battle will reveal to you who's able to keep their word with you. And until the friendship, until the relationship, until the courtship, until the fellowship, or until the partnership has been battle tested, it can't be truly trusted. I'm going to say that again. I knew you were going to ask me to say it, so I'm going to say it. Until the friendship, until the relationship, until the courtship, until the fellowship, until the partnership is truly tested, it can't be truly trusted. Until it's battle tested, it can't be truly trusted. Watch this. Before an auto manufacturer releases an automobile into the marketplace, that automobile has to go through a battery of tests. It has to prove that it can handle the wind. It has to prove that it can handle the rain. It has to prove that it can handle storms. It has to prove that it can handle the dust. It has to prove that its windshield wipers work. It has to prove that it can be sealed when you close the door and not allow intrusion of water in it before it is released into the market, and before people are able to step into that automobile and get in it. It has to go through a battery of tests to prove that it can hold up under certain conditions. But look at us. We jump in relationships that are not proven. We jump in connection that are not proven. We jump into stuff like crash dummies, jumping into stuff we ain't got no business jumping in, that ain't been proven, that ain't been tested, that can't hold up under pressure, that can't hold up under rain, that can't hold up under certain conditions, and then wonder why our life is a wreck, and then wonder why our life is a mess, then wondering why we going through spiritual whiplash and got spiritual vertebrae broken and all types of catastrophic injuries in our life, because we haven't allowed the thing that we jumping into with all of these people to be tested. But I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, until it can be battle tested, it can't be truly trusted. All right. I wasn't going to preach like this today, but I guess I'm out here now. And what we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, when we look at what happened at Rephidim, we must analyze it from a myriad of perspectives that it presents. There's Moses' perspective. There's Joshua's perspective. Then there's the perspective of Aaron and Hur. And then the Lord showed me another perspective today, a couple other perspectives from inanimate objects. There's a perspective from the rock. There's a perspective from the rods. There's a perspective from the valley. There's a perspective from the hill. There's all types of perspectives that we could preach if we really wanted to preach it and talk about it. But I'm going to stick with Moses, Joshua, Aaron, and Hur. And from Moses' perspective, he is a leader trying to get a people to a place of promise. I'm going to say that again. From Moses' perspective, he is a leader trying to get a people to a place of promise. And one of the things people in Moses' shoes deal with is a multiplicity of battles. But not only do they deal with a multiplicity of battles, they deal with diversity of battles. It's well documented and well talked about regarding Moses' run-in with Pharaoh. Moses with Pharaoh had the unmitigated gall to say that God said, let my people go. Pharaoh wasn't trying to hear that. And what ended up happening is they had a back and forth of discussions, a back and forth of confrontations, a back and forth of letting them go and then changing their mind. And there's the battle that Moses dealt with in Egypt regarding the vacillating mind of Pharaoh. One of the biggest battles you will ever deal with is the battle when people can't make up their mind. Nothing wears you out when you're dealing with a person who can't make up their mind. One minute they say yes, the next minute they say no. One minute they say up, the next minute they say down. One minute they say left, the next minute they say right. It wears you out to deal with a person who can never make up their mind. And so that's the battle at Egypt. The battle at Egypt is the battle of Pharaoh not being able to make up his mind about what he wants to do with God's people. And so Moses deals with Pharaoh's crazy mind. And ultimately, after 10 plagues, the last of which was the death of the firstborn, did Pharaoh finally acquiesce and let God's people go. And we thought the story ended there. You remember the movie with Charleston Heston? They were dancing and shouting, leaving Goshen, headed towards the promised land. They got gold from Egypt. They got apparel from Egypt. They got jewelry from Egypt. And they were just dancing and shouting on their way to the promised land. But little did Moses know is that every stage that God takes you to has its own battle. Some of us dance too soon. Some of us shout too soon. Some of us spin around too soon. Some of us do the funky Watusi too soon. You got to know that every stage God leads you to has its own battle. And so as they were journeying from Egypt, Moses came out of the battle of Egypt, which was a verbal battle. It was a verbal jousting. It was the back and forth of Pharaoh that wore Moses out. But then he ended up at the battle at the Red Sea. Y'all didn't see that battle, did you? You got to see these battles. That's why sometimes you're getting whooped, because you can't recognize you in a battle. When you in a battle, y'all thought that the Red Sea was just something that we talked about in vacation Bible school. Baby, the Red Sea was a fight in and of itself. You can't underestimate the fight that you in. You can't underestimate the battle that you up against. That's a fight, a fight. It's a struggle of struggles. It's something different on that kind of fight. And let's look at it a little bit before I get into it, because I got a little preacher in me today. Oh, God, help me up in here. Watch this. They at the battle of the Red Sea. And at that battle, that's the battle where the thing that lets you go is trying to get you back. The thing that lets you go is trying to get you back. That's a different kind of battle. When I've been let go and it's trying to get me back. That's a different type of fight. When I got free from it, but it's still coming after me. When it's still trying to get to me. When it's still trying to pull on me. When it's still thinking it got its rights to me. The battle at the Red Sea is the battle where the thing that lets you go think it can get you back. Watch this. Here it is. What I need to tell you today is what God delivers you from won't easily give up its power on you. You thought that it was only at a certain stage where it had some influence. You thought that it could only affect you in a certain place. You thought that his interest in you was limited to a certain location. Oh my God. And this is why some people's change of address ain't working. This is why some people's change of a city ain't working. This is why some people think that their deliverance was tied to that hellhole they came out of. But you've got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that their deliverance is in being anywhere. It ain't just in being anywhere other than that hellhole. However, God told me to tell you that when he brings you to a certain place, what he wants to do is show you that although the same thing, the same circumstances, and the same people may find you, that your deliverance is still final. Oh yeah, although the same thing, the same circumstances, and the same people may find you, your deliverance is final. Look at somebody and say, baby, my deliverance is final. Just because it finds you again doesn't mean you're not delivered from it. Just because it shows up at a different place doesn't mean that it has the same power over you. Just because it looks like here we go again doesn't mean it's going to happen again. And some of us have spent seasons of our life running from the same thing with a here we go again mentality. And God is saying, just because it finds you don't mean it can harm you. Just because it searches for you don't mean it can find you. Just because it show up at your doorstep don't mean you got the answer. I'm slamming the door on the thing that's been coming after me because my deliverance is final. Watch this. God has to show them that their deliverance is final. God has to show them that you're at a different place. God has to show them that you're in a different season, that you're in a different moment, that what came knocking at your door, just because it shows up looking like the mailman, just because it shows up in an Amazon truck, just because it shows up with some Uber Eats don't mean you got to open up your door. So before they carry, here we go again, into their new place, God had to show them that what they knew in an old season had no bearing on their new season. Watch this. When Moses led Israel out of Egypt, they were on a route, y'all ain't gonna believe this, that would have put them out of Pharaoh's reach quicker. When you go study it, they were on a route that would have put them out of Pharaoh's reach quicker. But because it was a patch of desert that was dry, that was treeless and waterless, although it was a faster route, it was detrimental to their future. It was detrimental to their existence. It was detrimental to their well-being. And can I tell y'all what God told me to tell you? God told me to tell you, don't take the quick route this season. Just because it's quicker, just because it's faster, just because it's easier, just because it puts you out of the reach of your Pharaoh quicker, don't mean it's the best decision for you. It might put you out of Pharaoh's reach, but when what puts you out of Pharaoh's reach doesn't mean it puts you out of harm's way. The only enemy we sometimes see is our Pharaoh. And just because it puts you out of Pharaoh's reach doesn't mean it puts you out of harm's way. They would have ran right into a desert situation. Some of us are running from the enemy, and because it's a quicker route, we don't realize that the place we're running to is dry. The place we're running to has no water. The place we're running to has no trees. It ain't got no shade. It ain't got no place for your cattle to feed. It ain't got no fruit for you. It ain't got no power for you. It ain't got nothing for you to feast on. Just because it's quicker don't mean it's better. We take the quick route because we want to get out of it fast. We take the quick route because we want to get over it quicker. We take the quick route thinking that that's the way we should go. But God says, wait a minute, you can get away from Pharaoh faster. Woo! But you're going to have to end up in a place that you don't want to be in to get there. So I'm going to set it up to where you're going to have to see that what I'm doing for you is so different that you're just going to have to walk through this situation and trust me in it. Watch this. Here it is. God told Moses to have Israel turn and camp at a place between Egypt's pursuit and the Red Sea. God told Israel to turn and camp at a place between the enemy and a situation that could drown them. A situation that could kill them on land, or a situation that could kill them at sea. Oh, y'all not hearing me? Sometimes God will put you between some bad situations to show you something. Sometimes God will put you between some bad situations to reveal himself to you. You think that situation you going through it, and there ain't no lesson for you to learn. You ain't gonna get nothing out of it. The devil is a lie. God will sandwich you between situations so he can reveal himself to you in another way. I'm so glad I'm in an uncomfortable season. I'm so glad that I'm in a difficult place. I'm so glad that I'm facing the challenges I'm facing, because when I come out of this, God's gonna reveal himself to me in a whole nother way. Okay. Cowboys play at 325. Y'all in trouble. Watch this. Catch this. He told them to go and camp. In other words, God told them to stop running and start resting. God told them to camp, which means he told them to stop running and start resting. The question becomes, why didn't God just part the sea before they knew Pharaoh was coming? Why didn't God let them pass through before they could see the imminent threat to their deliverance? Here it is. There comes a point where you got to stop running and start seeing that the thing that you're running from is truly no match for your God. Can I say that again? There comes a point where you've got to stop running and start realizing that the thing you're running from is no match for your God. God told me to tell y'all this. Y'all ain't going to believe nothing. I'm believing and I'm resting. God told me to tell you, this next victory is going to produce a rested version of you. This next victory is going to produce arrested version of you. You're not going to have to show up to this next breakthrough tired. You're not going to have to show up at the next stage worn out. God is saying that, baby, if you rest in me and take the break when I tell you to take the break, and stop running when I tell you to stop running, and sit down and watch when I tell you to sit down and watch, you ain't gonna have to show up worn out. You ain't gonna have to show up tired. You ain't gonna have to show up fatigued. You ain't got to show up with sore feet. You ain't got to show up with a sore back. You ain't gonna have to show up with bruises. You ain't gonna have to show up with bumps. You ain't gonna have to show up with sore knees. If you will rest when I tell you to rest, that when there's next breakthrough, when there's next victory come, when there's next door open, you won't be worn out and you'll be able to enjoy it. Some people can't enjoy their victory because they always running. They always running to the next day. They get a breakthrough and they try to go get another one. They get an open door and they try to go get another one. They get an opportunity and they try to go get another one. You can't enjoy what God is doing in your life because you won't learn to rest. Look at somebody and say, what's the hold up? Woo, you got to learn to rest. Okay, y'all don't believe me. Y'all don't believe what I'm telling y'all true. Watch this. The Hebrew word used to describe what God instructed Israel to do when he says turn aside and camp has multiple meanings. One of the meanings, y'all ain't gonna believe it. One of the meanings literally symbolizes a soldier standing with his sword drawn, ready to defend himself, yet taking the sword that was drawn and putting it away. Okay. Y'all ain't getting it. I told y'all this was a battle at Red Sea. God told me to tell you, the reason why you're going to be able to rest and enjoy this victory is because the fight ain't yours. It's his fight. I'm gonna show you that you can put your sword up in this season. I'm gonna show you that you can put away your defense in this season. I'm gonna show you that you can put your shield down in this season, because this particular fight, this particular battle, what I'm getting ready to do in your life ain't on you. This one's on me. God says, put your feet up, baby. God says, lay down a little bit. God says, rest, because I'm gonna fight this fight. I'm gonna fight this battle. I'm gonna have you put your sword away, put your shield away, put away the thing, all the things that you have been defending in your life. You ain't gonna have to defend it no more. Put that sword up and watch me fight this battle. Here it is. God say, put your foot up, sword up. Watch this. God say, put your sword up and put your feet up. I'm fighting this. Watch this. So when Israel saw Egypt coming and they grew restless, Moses told them, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. Not the salvation you can accomplish. Not the breakthrough you gonna get for yourself. But the thing God is going to accomplish for you. In other words, don't come out of your position of rest and start running again. Don't come out of your position of rest and start wandering again. Don't come out of your position of rest and start worrying again. I'm finna get ready to work this thing out for you. God allowed them to face an old enemy, watch this, in a new place so that he could show them that their deliverance was once and for all complete in him. Watch this. God told me to tell y'all this. God will let your enemies catch up to you so that he can wipe your enemies out in front of you. God will let your enemies catch up to you so that he can wipe your enemies out in front of you. Woo, my God. God parted the Red Sea and Israel was able to cross over on dry ground. But when Pharaoh's army tried to take the path that God created for his people, it wouldn't work. No, God told me to tell you that there's no route that the enemy can use to get to you. There's no portal that the enemy can use to get to you. That God, oh my God, that the enemy can't take the thing that God created for you and use it against you and get to you. God created the path, but when the enemy tried to use the path that God created for them, the path didn't work, and Pharaoh's army was wiped out. Oh man, Sheka. Oh God, here come on, Sekomande Korabasiti. What? Here it is. Y'all still don't believe nothing yet. However, before Rephidim, the next series of battles Moses faced didn't come from an outside enemy, but from the children of Israel itself. Y'all ain't gonna believe nothing. Watch this. They complain about the bitter water at Myra. They complain about the lack of food in the wilderness. They complain about not having water at Horeb. Every stage that Moses took them to, they disputed against. Can I help y'all with y'all next battle? Somebody say, help me with my next battle. There's not a battle like the battle of helping ungrateful people. Ungrateful folk will wear you out. Ungrateful folk always got a complaint. Ungrateful folk will fight you to the end when you're trying to help them. Ungrateful folk don't appreciate nothing. You haven't seen frustration until you try to keep someone ungrateful from going back to the thing that you helped them to get out of. I'm trying to keep you out of trouble, but you're fighting me to get back into it. I'm trying to keep you out of bondage, but you're fighting me to stay in it. Ungrateful folk will fight you tooth and nail to stay in a situation that you're trying to help them out of. Watch this. Want to know what's really crazy? Every time Moses got them to another stage away from Egypt, I never thought about this. They long for Egypt more and more. Every time Moses got them to a stage away from Egypt, they complained that Egypt is better than that. You brought us out here for us to die. Ain't no water out here. Ain't nowhere to feed these cattle. Ain't nothing I can do. I ain't got nothing to eat. Just mad and angry and complaining. Egypt was better than this. I missed the leeks. I missed the onions. I missed the garlic. I missed the greens. I missed them oxtails in Egypt. Every stage that Moses got them to, they complained how Egypt was better. But catch this. They wanted to go back to a time in their life that didn't exist the way they remembered it. I never even thought about that. Is this the same Egypt that just went through 10 plagues? Ain't this the same Egypt that was just wiped out in the Red Sea? The thought you have and the memory you have of Egypt, baby, don't even exist anymore. God decimated your thoughts. God decimated that memory. God wiped that memory from your mind. Why do you think that Moses told them, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord? Watch this. And he also said, for the Egyptians you see today, you shall never see again. Why is it that you want to go back to the thing that God wiped out from your memory? Why is it you want to go back to the thing that God decimated to get you delivered? Why is it you want to go back to the thing that God destroyed to pull you out of? The very thing that they wanted didn't exist anymore. Can I ask y'all a question and y'all ain't gonna get mad at me and feel like I'm getting in your business? Have you ever had an old flame that you tried to reconnect with and the flame was burned out and the sparkle wasn't there no more? Have you ever had an old relationship, an old connection, an old friendship, and the thing that y'all used to bond over don't exist anymore? So when you go and try to talk to that person, y'all ain't got nothing to talk about. Y'all ain't got nothing to connect over. Woo! Have you ever had an old job that you gave your 2 weeks notice to, but then you needed another job, so you had to go back to that company, and the people that was working there when you were there ain't there no more, and the things that you enjoyed about that company ain't there no more, and the lunch ain't the same no more. The cafeteria ain't as clean as it used to be. The lady who used to give you the extra scoop of food, she don't work in the cafeteria no more. Ain't nothing about the atmosphere the same. Have you ever left a place and tried to go back to it? But when you went back to it, what you enjoyed about it ain't there no more. What you experienced about it ain't there no more. What you loved about it ain't there no more. Ain't nothing about this place that's able to take you to where you want to be. And they wanted to go back to an Egypt that didn't exist anymore. They wanted to go back to a place that was no longer in existence. The leaks wasn't there, baby. Didn't you see that? Them plagues? Didn't you see them frogs? Didn't you see that blood? Didn't you see that darkness? Didn't you see them dead firstborns? That thing that you like about that old season don't exist anymore. They act like they didn't see that. They act like they ain't see them 10 plagues. You ain't see them mosquitoes? Well, I guess they was in Goshen, so they didn't was unaffected by it. Ooh, that's another revelation. Because sometimes God will protect you from something. And because God's protection, sometimes God's protection can end up being an enemy to us because we ain't realized what God protected us from, and we trying to run back to something that he protected us from, so we ain't see none of it. All right. I'm going to take my time today. Forget it. I'm here, man. I'm out here now. Y'all start the clock too early. Watch this. So Moses has dealt with the battle in Egypt. He's dealt with the battle at the Red Sea. He's dealt with the battle of trying to help the people in Israel. So when the battle of Amalek came, Moses wore out. When it was the battle at Rephidim against the Amalekites, Moses handed that fight over to Joshua. Dog, I'm tired of fighting. I know arguing with this man. I've been arguing with these people. You gonna take this fight. Watch this. And what we must understand, we got to understand Joshua's perspective. When Moses told him to fight the fight, scholars suggest that the Amalekites had already attacked Israel from the rear at night. The Amalekites had already attacked Israel from the rear at night. I can send you that if you want it, man. He posts a lot. Catch this. This is why the text says in verse 9, and Moses said to Joshua, choose us some men and go out and fight Amalek. Period. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. Y'all see it? It was at night when the fight started. Moses sent Joshua to fight at night. But his help wasn't coming until the morning. Amalek had attacked Israel from the rear at night. The fight had already started, so Joshua couldn't wait until the morning to start fighting. He had to go fight when Moses told him to fight. Moses told Joshua to fight now, but I'll help you later. Okay. Watch this. Look at somebody and say, what's the hold up? The text goes on to say, in verse 10, so Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. But then Moses got the mitigated gall again. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Okay, catch this. Not only did Moses expect Joshua to fight now, and he'll help later, but when the next day came, Moses is having a hard time getting up that hill to get in position to provide his help. Moses told the boy, Joshua, fight now. I'll help you later. Joshua starts to fight at night. Moses started taking his time up the hill in the morning with Aaron and Hur, leading them up the hill. Moses tired. Moses about 80-something years old now. He making it up this hill, taking his time. Which means then, watch this. If the only time Joshua got the victory was when Moses was on top of the hill with his hands up, that means that if Moses didn't get to the hill until the morning and Joshua had already started fighting that night, that Joshua was losing all night before Moses showed up. Check this. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. Watch this. Joshua did what his man of God told him to do. Joshua went where his man of God told him to go. Joshua went at the time his man of God told him to go and do it and started losing. Can I tell y'all something? That sometimes the word God gives you will cause you to seem like you losing before you start winning. And you can't give up on the word that God gave you just because it seems like you losing. You can't give up on the word that comes from the man of God or the woman of God just because it seems like you losing. Oh, Moses is making his way up the hill. Josh, I'm coming, buddy, but you got to hold on. Josh, my back is hurting, but you got to hold on. Josh, I'm gonna make it, but you got to hold on. And the whole time that Moses wasn't there, Joshua was loose off of the word God gave him. All right. Catch it. Can you imagine? being Joshua, can you imagine that sometimes you're going to get a word and it's going to seem like it ain't working? You're going to get a word and it's going to seem like that couldn't have been from God because I'm losing. The man said he was going to show up and it didn't. Woo! My pastor said he was coming, but it didn't. My prophet said he was going to show up, but it didn't. My prophet said he was going to be in position, but it didn't. The whole time while Joshua was where he was supposed to be, doing what he was supposed to do at the time he was supposed to do it, as long as Moses wasn't in position, Joshua was losing. What's the hold up? Ooh. And so he's in position and he's doing what he's supposed to do. And Moses is taking his time. Ooh, Moses then took his Geritol. Oh my God. Moses then had him an Ensure. Oh yeah. Moses then got him some glucosamine in him. Moses is trying to do the best he could to get up that hill. He got two assistants helping him up the hill. He got two guys with him helping him up the hill. He got a tandem with him to get him to where he's supposed to be. And they get there. Finally, they at top of the hill. And the text says that as long as Moses' hands were lifted with the rod, Joshua prevailed. But as soon as his hands got a little weary, and as soon as his hands began to fall, Amalek prevailed. Watch this. Joshua winning in one position, losing in the next. Not only was his man of God late, but the help he provided was inconsistent. Sometimes y'all got to give these preachers a little grace. Give your pastor a little grace. Give the man of God, the woman of God a little grace. Sometimes we gonna be a little late. Sometimes we may have some inconsistent moments, but sometimes we gonna be there too. Sometimes we're gonna help you win. Sometimes we're gonna help you get lifted. Sometimes we're gonna help you get a breakthrough. The man of God was inconsistent, and I can imagine Joshua like, did he take a break? I'm winning one battle, then I'm losing. I'm winning in one situation, then I'm losing. I'm up and down. I'm where I'm supposed to be. What's the hold up? Watch this. Now we know Joshua's perspective. We got to look at Aaron and Hur's perspective. Can I tell y'all something? We know my problem with Aaron and Hur. Verse 11 says, and so it was when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. Joshua has been losing. And when he finally gets some help, his help is inconsistent, but Moses is old. Historians say Joshua was about 45 years old. Moses is twice his age. But the problem I got is, catch this, my problem is not with Moses and his inconsistency. My problem is with the brothers he brought with him. Watch it. My question is, for Aaron and Hur is, how long did it take y'all to realize Moses needed help? Y'all walked up the hill with him. His knee was popping. His dentures fell out a couple of times. His back was sore. He was grunting the whole time. How long did it take y'all to realize that Moses needed help? Text says in verse 12, but Moses' hands became heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, and Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Here it is. Don't let the situation get too heavy before forming a partnership that's needed to thrive. We allow the situation to get so heavy before we form the partnership that's needed to thrive. Watch this. The terrific tandem in this story is Aaron and Hur. Because as long as Moses' hands was up, the victory was there. But I got to ask this question. How many soldiers died before Aaron and Hur realized that they needed to give Moses some help? Too often, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we wait until the situation becomes so bad before we jump in to help somebody. We wait until our life gets lost. We wait until folk losing their marriage, losing their homes, losing their future, losing everything that's valuable to them before we jump in and help. And God says, don't let the situation get heavy before you help. All right. Here it is. Here's the message, though. Catch this. Here it is. Here's the message. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. We've talked about Moses. We talked about Joshua. We know some things about Aaron. But you know who the key person is in this text, in my mind? Is Hur. Ask me why. What I learned about Hur is that Hur was Miriam's son. If you notice about the picture, I jazzed it up a little bit so it can look modern. But I want y'all to pay attention to the picture. What you will notice about the picture is that you see the old man sitting on the stump. You see the older man to his left. But you notice the younger man to the right. Historians say that Hur was Miriam's son, which means that if he's Miriam's son, he's Moses and Aaron's nephew, which means that he's nowhere near their age, which means that he's probably more close to Joshua's age than he was to Aaron and Moses. So the question becomes, why wasn't he in the fight? I'll tell you why he wasn't in the fight. Because Aaron and Moses and Miriam were born of Levi. And what you know about the sons of Levi is that the sons of Levi were the priests. The sons of Levi were the Levites. Their job was to take care of the holy things of God and make sure that people were blessed. They will make sure that they take care of the sacrifices. They would make sure that they took care of the things that God wanted them to do. So Levites didn't work a regular job. Levites didn't fight battles. Their only job was to do the things of the spiritual things of God. So that's why a young man, is in the fight. He's in a position where God placed him. Watch this. What if Hur was like us? Lord, I don't like where you put me. I don't like the family I was born in. I don't like the assignment I have. I want to be in the fight where the glory is. I want to be in the fight where all of the battles are won. I want to be with the younger people. I want to be where I think I belong. I'm just as young as Joshua, if not younger. I'm just as strong as Joshua, if not stronger. I'm just as skilled as Joshua, if not more skilled. But that ain't your calling. And oftentimes we get mad and don't form the partnership where God positioned us. We want to be in partnership in a place that God didn't position us. We want to be in partnership in the place where there's more glory. We want to be in partnership in the place where I can brag. We want to be in partnership in the place where I can show my battle scars and my battle wound. Young man, her, thank you for being in your place, because what you teaching us is that it's okay to form the partnership according to how we're positioned, and I don't need to be in someone else's place to give God the glory. If I'm in the position where I'm supposed to be in, the glory is coming, whether they know my name or not, whether they see me or not, whether I got a book written after me or not, whether I show up in this place or not, whether I'm seen this way or not, the glory is coming. Her only shows up in scripture once, and he's mentioned a couple other times, but this is the only time he showed up. Can I tell y'all? God told me to tell you. Make sure when you show up where you're supposed to be and not where you ain't supposed to be. Because when history writes your name, when history tells your story, when history speaks of you, make sure it's speaking of you, of being where you're supposed to be and not where you want it to be. Give me some music. I gotta go. God told me to tell you. The holdup for you is you trying to form partnerships where you ain't supposed to be. That if you learn to form the right partnership where you supposed to be, it don't matter who gets the glory, it don't matter who gets the recognition. God knows your name. And you won't be missed in this season on what it is that God has for you to do. I'm just in a different season in my life, and I'm okay with it. I'm her. I need to get me a shirt and say that I'm her. I'm the dude who just as young, could fight probably just as good, but I didn't get out of position from where God appointed me. I formed the partnership according to how I was positioned. This season, we're going to have to form some partnerships. Hallelujah.